Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Impact Magazine's Sweat Across Canada series. My name is Mueller, and I'm a kinesiologist, fascial stretch therapist, and golf performance consultant based out of Vancouver, British Columbia. And I couldn't be more excited to be able to sit down with you in the comfort of your own home, perhaps in your gyms around the country, and talk about self-myofascial release, mobility restoration, and things that you can do at home to help increase your performance, reduce the incidence of pain, if you have neck pain or hip pain and things like that, and or mitigate some potential injury issues that you may or may not be having as a result of getting out there and being active this summer. First and foremost, a couple of housekeeping items. You're probably noticing that I'm holding some funky looking tools here. I want to bring your attention to these tools here. These are Rad Roller self-myofascial release products, and I couldn't be more excited to announce that as of this episode, this week, Rad Roller is now the official sponsor of the Sweat Across Canada series, brought to you by Impact Magazine. And every single week, we are going to be, I don't mean me, because I don't work at Impact Magazine, I mean Impact Magazine will be drawing one lucky winner who tags radroller.ca and Impact Magazine and refers a friend to any of the Sweat Across Canada feeds that go out during the week to be entered to win a Rad Roller All-In Kit, which has a value, guys, of $200. That's $200 Canadian. It's a phenomenal kit. These tools have different shapes and sizes for different parts of the body with different uses. There's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all tool, and we're going to be going through a variety of these things today. And also, if you're interested in more than what you see today, please reach out to me. You can DM me at Coach Mueller, or you can email me at muellerperformance@gmail.com, or even better yet, visit my website at mcsportkinesiology.com, and I promise I will get back to every single one of you that reaches out for some assistance or guidance or just questions. Second sponsor, but not least, Nike apparel. I'm very, very excited to be wearing our Nike apparel in this episode or session of Sweat Across Canada. It's a phenomenal set of gear that they've gifted to us. I'm very, very fortunate to be able to wear it. And it's breathable, it's stretchable, and for a big guy like me that likes to do a lot of mobility work, stretchability is key. The third thing is that you're probably noticing that I'm not in a gym or a yoga studio or a fitness facility, and the reason being is I want to make today's episode relatable to you, the viewers at home. A lot of us, unfortunately, have gone through some tough times, and gym access is not available to us. Equipment access is not available to us, and a lot of us, like me, have built studios here in their homes, and I've got you here in my basement here in Vancouver in my house, and I've built a little studio. It's very simple, but it's highly effective, and you don't need a lot to get a lot done. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is the rules and regulations and or guidance principles for self-myofascial release. And a lot of you, I would assume, are hiking and cycling and running and playing golf and all these things. And we're going to touch on the ankle joint today and how you can restore range of motion and have it last. Because I know there are many of you that get treatment by phenomenal clinicians, myself included, not saying I'm phenomenal, just saying I'm a clinician. And we notice that 2 or 3 days later, that tightness, that rigidity starts to come back. And we're going to talk about why that happens and how we can remedy that, okay? I want you to leave with some education today. It's very important that you know how to take care of your own body. I want to empower you to take the necessary steps to help increase and or restore range of motion in your body so that you feel happy, healthy, and you're able to get out there and do all the recreational activities that you choose to do, whether it be golf or anything else, okay? So the tools that we need today are minimal. I've got myself a broomstick here. If you've got one of those in your closet, please bring that out right now. If that doesn't work, you can grab a dowel. That works just fine. If you're a golfer, grab a golf club. The second thing that we need is the yoga block. Right here I've got my Rad Roller block. It's a phenomenal tool for a variety of reasons. It's also a storage compartment here. We can put all of our point release tools here and secure them tightly and tuck them away. If you don't have a Rad block, a yoga block will do just fine, and or a textbook or a variety of books stacked up on one another will do just fine as well. Even a pillow will do you just fine, okay? The second thing you're going to need is either a Rad Round if you have one. If you don't have one, go to radroller.ca and enter the code NICK, N-I-C-K, CA15. So that's NICK CA15 in the checkout box there, and you'll get 15% off. And that's for everything. That goes for education if you're interested in Rad Roller's online education, which I highly recommend. It's a phenomenal tool, and you will learn a lot about the body and how to optimize your self-myofascial release routines at home and for your clients. And if you see any product there that you like, that you see me fiddling around with today, and I will mention them, feel free to hop onto radroller.ca and enter the code to get 15% off. And that code again, once more, is NICKCA15, and that'll get you 15% off. So back to our tools here, the Rad Round. If you don't have one of these, a tennis ball will suffice. I know a lot of you have probably got lacrosse balls at home. That will do temporarily. However, one guiding principle when it comes to self-myofascial release is harder is not necessarily better. We are looking to restore range of motion and reduce the excitability of the nervous system and get us into more of a rest and digest parasympathetic state when we're restoring range of motion versus a sympathetic fight or flight state. Now, if you're, again, a side note here, if you are somebody that is not looking to restore range of motion at this time, and perhaps you're getting ready to do a big lift, perhaps you're an Olympic lifter, or a big workout, a PR, or what have you, and you want to excite the nervous system and you want to get it fired up, then by all means, go hard and fast and get that nervous system excited for the activity that you're about to partake in, okay? A broom, a Rad Round, and a yoga block. And that's all you really need for this workout today, or this mobility restoration sequence we're going to do, because I am going to take you through a continuum, a flow of sorts, a recipe, if you will, that will really educate the nervous system and educate you, hopefully, give you some bits of information that you may or may not have already known, that you can complement your exercise routines with, and or gift that knowledge to your clientele should you be a practitioner that's listening to this call. So a couple other pieces of Rad Roller gear here that I think are absolutely phenomenal. This is Rad Roller's version of a foam roller. It's called the Helix. It's a tremendous portable tool that has a nice recess here for the spine. So this is called the Helix. You'll find that on the online store. This is the Rad Atom, and this is a great tool for unshackling the chest, the pec region, the hips, and the adductors. All of these, again, are on the online store. The original Rad Roller tool here, some of you may refer to this as a peanut, or you might have two lacrosse balls taped together and or jammed in an old gym sock. That will suffice. However, if you're looking for something that is the creme de la creme of products with a lifetime warranty, I recommend you get a Rad Roller that comes in 3 different densities: light, medium, and very, very rigid, depending on your experience level. Remember that harder is not necessarily better. It's entirely dependent on your individual body, and just because a friend might have more experience and might get a higher density tool doesn't mean that that will work for you. So always listen to your body when it comes to this. If something hurts, I want you to back away from it, okay? So the Rad Roller, and last but not least, this is the Rad Rod, and this is our version of a rolling stick, a flushing stick, for all you trail runners, triathletes, cyclists, endurance athletes out there that are looking to flush out some waste products in the lymphatic system here to help promote and expedite recovery. the Rad Rod is a phenomenal tool. And again, I might have mentioned it before, but all these tools have a lifetime guarantee. They are not dog proof, and they are not dishwasher and hot tub and microwave proof, okay? So we've had a variety of things that have gone wrong in that department there. So the Rad Rod online store, Nick CA15 to get your 15% off. And let's get started with our workout. So one of the most overlooked joints in the body is our ankle. And if we are looking at the 3 most bang for your buck areas of the body that should be mobile, we are looking in 3 areas. We are looking at the ankle, the hip, and the thoracic spine, okay? So for those of you that have chronic knee pain, we might look at the ankle function, how much dorsiflexion and plantar flexion you have there. We might look at the hip function. For those of you that have lower back discomfort and lower back pain, I'm going to be looking potentially at the hip and also the thorax, the thoracic spine here to see how well it moves. And then also the cervical spine and any shoulder issues, we're going to be looking at the thoracic spine to see how it moves. For the sake of time today, we're only going to be going through the ankle, and I'm going to do my right side today for you, but you can take these principles and you can attach them to any other part of the body, okay? And if you're looking for more information, I cannot stress this enough, highly recommend you go to radroller.ca and check out their online education. It is top of the line. It is the front runner in the industry to date. And if you're a golfer, check out the golf version. And they also have versions for yogis as well, okay? It's absolutely tremendous. Your body will love you for it. So, going back to the ankle, what we are going to be doing is, first and foremost, in order for us to get a baseline, we have to know what we're coming to the ballpark with, okay? What do we have? And one of the easiest ways to do that is to get our broom or dowel or a golf club and get into a position where we are kneeling. Our ankle is underneath the knee. I'm going to take my left hand. I'm placing my left hand on the floor in front of my right toes. The butt end of our broomstick here goes on the floor on the other side of the hand in front of the big toe. Knee is over top of the ankle. This is vertical completely. Now some of us are competitive, and I know that we will start to do this. Let's not do that because it's going to give you a false positive, okay? So the dowel is in the ground, it's vertical. My ankle's underneath my knee, my foot is flat, and I'm driving my knee towards the dowel or the golf club or the broomstick. The goal is to touch or surpass that handle. So as you can see, doesn't go past, doesn't touch. I've got some room to improve here. And let me tell you, it's not because my shorts are restricting, because Nike stuff is extremely stretchy, okay? So it's not a material, a clothing material issue. It is an anatomical neck ankle issue. So phase 1, we did our assessment. We know we've got some room to improve. Phase 2, we're going to do an intervention. And what we're going to do is take our yoga block or our rad block, our rad round or your lacrosse ball, and we're going to perform a technique that is called a pin and hold technique. And the idea behind this technique is to squeeze out inflammatory molecules, okay? So we're going to take a knee on the leg that we are going to be exercising. Right knee is down. I take my lacrosse ball, rad round, rad roller, or what you have at your disposal, and I place it right in the belly of my calf muscle right there. Now notice that my ankle is flexed, my toes are in the ground. I'm not plantar flexed like this, okay? And what I'm going to do very simply is I'm going to shift my weight and slowly compress that ball into my calf. And what I'm going to do from this point is take a big breath in and exhale. And now, as much as it might seem kind of hokey pokey and black magic kind of stuff, I'm trying to breathe into my calf. So wherever I have that tool touching my body, I am going to breathe into that area and try and expand that area. So I'm focusing my breath into that area, okay? So big breath in. And relax, okay? Now I'm gonna do between 10 and 12 breaths per location, or from a qualitative perspective, if this over here is pain and on this end of the scale is pleasure, we're finding that spot right in the center there, okay? So you wanna find the spot between pleasure and pain and hold that position and breathe in that area for 10 deep breaths. Now, once we've done that, we move that down and we apply the same technique. And we're gonna do that all the way to the base of the calf muscle or the gastroc tissue. We do not wanna go on the Achilles tendon for this. We're just gonna work the calf muscle, okay? So for me, depending on your frame size, I've got about 3 locations that I'm going to be targeting during that procedure there, okay? So let's go right down to the end of the calf and breathe in and exhale. Big breath in and exhale. Let's pretend I've done 10 breaths. I know you at home, you've done 10 breaths as well. Okay, now we've done the back side of the leg, okay? But we can't forget the front side of the leg because these tissues are at play as well when it comes to ankle flexion and extension, okay? Or dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, okay? For those of us that are industry folks out there, okay? So I look at my shin here and I'm gonna find this tissue right here. So here's my shin bone, and right to the side of that there is a tissue called the tibialis anterior. And I am looking to take my rad round, my lacrosse ball, my what have you, whatever you've got at home, and compress that into that area. And the same technique applies, except now I'm going into, you guessed it, plantar flexion. I compress and I breathe in into that area and I exhale. And I perform 10 breaths, okay? And once I've done that, again, finding that spot between pleasure and pain, and finding 10 deep breaths, I'm going to work the surface area down to about that tube sock level. If you're an ankle sock person, that's too low. If you're a tube sock person, right about in there, and that's when we stop, okay? Now, this is where most of us stop. We do the intervention, we notice we've got some range of motion back, it feels better, and off we go to our workout, to our run, to what have you. But this is where you are going to gain the most benefit in the second and third steps here. For those of us that have gotten treatment, either performing myofascial release on ourselves or getting it done at the clinic or what have you, how many of you notice that after 48 hours, 72 hours, that range of motion starts to go away? I know I have. So what we're going to do today is we're going to reinforce that, because I want you to take this little nugget of information. The body is the gateway to accessing the nervous system, okay? So we are going to manipulate these tissues to gain access to our brain so that we can now educate our brain that we've got some new range of motion to play with. Otherwise, the brain's going to receive that information and go, wow, my ankle's exceptionally mobile here. I don't know why. Perhaps we injured it. Perhaps there's something going on. Perhaps we lack stability to perform the designated movement. Let's start to tighten that back up again, okay? And you're going to be going to your clinicians all the time to try and get the same thing repaired and or restored over and over and over again. And not that going to see your clinician is a bad thing, okay? It's a great thing, and I highly, highly recommend you see all of your local clinicians. But the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Here is why, and here's how we're gonna fix that. So phase 1, we did an assessment. Phase 2, We did an intervention, which is with the rad round here, okay? Available on radroller.ca. Phase 3, active range of motion drill, and here's the secret sauce, in all 3 planes of motion, okay? We want to ensure that the ankle can move forward and back, side to side, and rotary. So how do we do that? We've got our rad block here, or your yoga block, or your stack of textbooks. And remember now, we're doing the right ankle here. I've got the dorsal side, or the top of my foot, resting on this yoga block. I've got my hands on my hips, and what I'm going to do is very gently and slowly sit down, feel the opening of the front side or the anterior side of the ankle occur, expansion, and come on back up. And we're going to do 10 reps here. Okay, down and up. My left foot doesn't have a block on it. It's discarded by the side there. I'm not sure if you can see that. There it is right there. I'll wave it for you. Perfect. And down. Okay, so I've done 4 or 5 reps now. Let's pretend I've done 10. So what I've done is I've increased plantar flexion in the sagittal plane, forward and back. Okay, now we have to do dorsiflexion. So we're going to get up, we're going to place our block right here. We're going to put our toes on the block, and what we're going to do, hands on the hips, soft knee, drive the knee forward over top of the center of the foot there, okay? And then back it off, and drive it forward, and back it off, and drive it forward, and back it off. Now, if you've got some pinching in the front of the ankle, that's the time to go see your clinician. We've got some sort of structural issue there, and we're not going to discuss that on this call. However, if you need some education around that, feel free to DM me at Coach Mueller on Instagram, and I'll chat with you. I'd love to chat with you about that. If not, contact your local clinician, chiro, physio, etc., and they'll sort you out, okay? We should feel stretching in the back, okay? So there's 4 or 5 there. Remember, we're doing 10 on both sides, so that's plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. So this is our active mobility sequence here. That's sagittal plane or front to back. But now we have to introduce to the brain and educate it about moving laterally or side to side. So we're going to plant this right leg here, and we're going to shift the body, moving the ankle this way, and shift the body, moving the ankle this way. So I'm stepping in behind. For those of us that are familiar with the karaoke drill, it's very similar to that. But you can see how the ankle translates laterally back and forth. And you guessed it, this will also be 10 repetitions, okay? Now, I'm only doing the right ankle here today, but you're going to do both. So you would do this on both sides after you've done the intervention on both sides, okay? So let's pretend that we've done 10 there. Again, I know at home you've done 10, you're a lot faster than me. I've got all the hot air going here. I'm talking too much. The next thing we're going to do now, the third plane of motion, is rotation, or the transverse plane. Now, we want to be very, very careful with this plane of motion. We do not want to, and again, I'll repeat, we do not want to use momentum here, okay? Injuries can occur, so low and slow, and watch me. Foot is planted. I'm driving the knee slightly over the center of the foot. My hands are on my hips. I open the hip, keeping the foot planted, so I'm creating torsion, and then I go the other way, creating torsion this way, okay? Open, close, smooth and steady. If you need something to hold on to, grab your broom handle, grab your golf club, okay? Smooth and steady. Do it against the door, against the wall, that works too. There you go. So this is the transverse plane, creating torsion, rotational forces through the foot, lower extremity, and ankle. Okay, excellent. So we did the sagittal plane, forward and back. We did the frontal plane, side to side. And now we've done the transverse plane, which is rotational. So we're done, right? Wrong. We're not done. We're not done just yet, because the brain goes, whoa, we've got all this new range of motion. Your foot probably feels like it's dangling a little bit, kind of like this, if it was your hand. We have to reintroduce some stability into the lower extremity so the brain goes, oh, okay, we can use this. We know how to use this. So how do we do that? Well, we do it in all three planes of motion. Again, we do the sagittal plane, which is front and back. We do it in the frontal plane, which is side to side. And then, of course, we do it in the transverse plane, which is rotational. So how do we do that? I'm going to take a stance like this, so you can see my right foot here. Now, for those of us that are foot doctors and foot specialists, I highly recommend you watch this and critique me, because I know that as a fitness professional, we probably do this a little bit differently than you would do it in your clinic. So feel free to critique, please critique, and give me some feedback and let me know what you think about this drill. There is a technique that allows us to shorten the longitudinal arch of our foot. It's called short foot. And the easiest way to conceptualize this is to raise the arch of the foot off of the floor by bringing the big toe and the heel closer together. And that creates tension. In other words, stability in the foot there, okay? So, one way to do this is to put a towel down, step on the towel, and that way you can get some visual feedback to see the towel moving, that you're actually doing it. Because I know for me, I have very flat arches in my feet, and this drill is exceptionally challenging for me, and there's almost little to no movement at all when I do this drill. So I put a towel down typically just to get an idea of how it's moving. Today I'm not, just so you can see my foot and see what we're going to be doing. But again, the goal of the drill here is to take this toe and this heel and pull it closer together by pulling the arch of the foot away from the ground. Okay? So my hands are on my hips and I'm raising the arch and I'm pulling those toes, that big toe, the great toe, and the heel together, and release. Okay? I'm going to do 10 reps here. I'm pulling hard, pulling hard, pulling hard. Wow. I think I'm doing a pretty good job today. Okay, so I'm pulling, I'm pulling, I'm pulling. Look at that. I feel pretty good about it. I'm sure you guys are much better than I am. This is not easy for me. And that's how we create tension in the sagittal plane as the fourth step of our mobility restoration process here for the ankle joint. Okay, so that is front and back. How do we do side to side? How do we do the frontal plane? An easy shift of body weight. Even though some of us that will get competitive, and that's me, want to laterally bound, this is not the goal. This is low level, low threshold stuff. So I'm going to load up on my left leg, shift, shift back, shift, shift back. 10 reps at home, guys. Shift back, back and forth. And this is enough lateral motion for the brain to start recruiting the necessary tissues to stabilize our ankle, foot, and lower extremity in the frontal plane. As you begin to increase the rep count, of course, you can start to broaden the lateral bound. Okay, you can get wider and wider. Last but not least, transverse plane. Okay, so many of you probably do this when you deadlift and squat already. It's a tremendous tool to create torsion, torsional forces up the kinetic chain into the hips. We're going to do this in the ankles and the feet here. So what we're going to do is hands on the hips. We're going to squat, a half squat, Now watch my feet here. I'm going to externally rotate them, or screw them into the floor. You can really feel the feet gripping here. And then I'm going to stand up. And then I'm going to release everything. 3/4 squat, create torsion, stand up, and release. Let's get 2 more. You're going to do 10 at home, okay? Squat, torsion, stand, and our last one, squat, create some torsion, and stand. And that would be our transverse plane stability drill, okay? So phase 1, we did an assessment, we saw what we came to the table with. Phase 2, we intervened with our rad round using a pin and hold technique. Now you can use any of the other tools that are available at radroller.ca with different techniques that you'll learn should you take the Rad Roller online educational modules on how to promote better tissue glide, on how to get maximum restoration of joints and tissue extensibility and so on and so forth. Again, highly recommend it, okay? So we did assessment, we did intervention, we did active mobility drill to let the body know that we've got some new range of motion to play with. And then we finally did an active stability drill, which is reinforcing the brain and the nervous system to let it know that this is here to stay. We are going to use this. The final piece is to do a reassessment so that we know where we stand. Did that treatment work? Did it not work? What are we dealing with here? So let's go back to the ground and get an idea of how we did. So remember, half kneeling position, knee over top of the ankle, foot is flat, left hand in front of the foot, flat on the floor, the butt end of the dowel in the ground. Keeping the foot flat and the broom, handle, or dowel, or golf club, or whatever it is you've got, completely vertical, drive the knee towards the dowel. Now, qualitatively, that feels better. And you guys at home that did the pre and post analysis, you'll be able to tell me if quantitatively it's better. But based on what I'm looking at right now, it feels better and it measures better. And that's part of the continuum for self-myofascial release. Those concepts are interchangeable throughout every single part of the body, whether it's the ankle, the hip, or the thorax. If you have any further questions about that kind of stuff, if you have any questions about Rad Roller, if you want to know about golf performance or anything related to golf performance, please reach out to me at Coach Mueller on Instagram. You can email me at muellerperformance@gmail.com and I'll get back to you within 24 hours, I promise. I love chatting with absolutely everybody about different conditions and scenarios and things like that. And if I don't know the answer, I'll tell you and I'll find it out for you, okay? So thank you again, once again, to Impact Magazine for putting on these Sweat Across Canada series where we can connect with each other during these times. I know they're tough. Create your at-home studio. There's lots of things that you can do. There are a lot of great companies out there that will ship to your door. Rad Roller is one of them. You can get your tools very quickly. If you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know. Now I will let you in on a little promotion that I'm doing personally through my business for the month of September. If you purchase a Rad Roller All-In kit using my name, my code, which is Nick, NICKCA15, you will get my mobility program using those Rad Roller tools, which is a $100 value in itself. All you have to do is reach out to me at Coach Mueller, and I will set you up with my 100% full body self-myofascial release guide using Rad Roller tools for free. It's a $100 value. I'm here to help. I want to help. I know it's tough during these times, and I feel for every single one of you, whether you're a clinician or just a fitness enthusiast. So stay safe out there. I'm thinking about each and every one of you, and I can't wait to connect with you in the future. Thank you very much to Impact Magazine. Thank you very much to Rad Roller, and thank you very much to Nike Canada. We'll see you next time, guys.